hybrid meetings are going to be a thing as soon as COVID is over, if your club isn't already doing hybrid meetings. We're all pretty comfortable with Zoom, but when we go to hybrid meetings, there's a bigger challenge. Moving cameras around, doing the timer when part of the audience is online and part of the audience is in the club meeting. Here's a little tool called OBS Studio that we can use in front of Zoom, and I'll demonstrate what is going to happen. I think you're going to find that it's going to be useful for hybrid meetings, but you may like to use it just for yourself, because there's some really nice tools that it has that can help you with problems in your presentations, help you be more creative in your presentations. So we're going to demonstrate exactly what this software is. And I use a video switcher so that you can see the complete output of the software instead of just the screen. So I'm going to switch over and move over here. This is what the output, I'm checking Zoom, of OBS Studio looks like. I've got two cameras on here. One is simulating my audience. He's kind of a genius. And it really is live. If I reach over really far, you can see my fingertips. And I can show both cameras at the same time. It's really pretty cool. And I've got my main studio. I've got a little overlay, a little mask on the top, masking the top and the bottom. There's my Einstein. But the output that you're looking at, if you can tell, I can't point right now. I could use it with my pointer, but it's not very good. This window right here is what is imported into Zoom. And we've got all sorts. I can play videos. I can even use the timer, do a little quick timer. And I've got these set up on F keys. So I can push F2, we got green, F3, F4, and F5, F6, F7, F8, F9. Do I go farther? And F10. But I'm going to show you first an empty scene. I've got a couple of little, this is what the software looks like. The top is a screenshot, OBS Studio, Open Broadcaster Software. And there's the address if you want to download it. So the first step you need to do if you're going to use it is download it. And it's really simple. And for your information, I'm going to switch back here. I can't look at the camera yet. I haven't enabled the camera yet. We're using OBS Studio in this case to just do video switching. Audio switching is out of the picture for this. OBS Studio is a wonderful tool that can be used for streaming. You can use it for recording. You can use it for media playback. But in our case, we're going to use it as a front end for Facebook, for Zoom. Version 26 just barely came out of OBS Studio. So it's got a if you're using Windows, and only on Windows, if you got a Macintosh, it won't help, and Linux. But in a month or so, I'm sure all the versions will be caught up. There is a Start Virtual Camera. If you look at the arrow that points down to the controls section in the lower right-hand corner, you can see that the controls are nearly the same, except that the Windows version has a Start Virtual Camera button, which makes it even simpler. You just push that button. And when it starts up, you will have a screen that is completely black. So what we need to do is go over to the sources section. Let's see if I can see my mouse moving now. There's the source section, and we add the arrow, and we will pick a video capture device. And I will add it, and this gives me a choice of all of the devices I have on my computer, my built-in camera, on my laptop, and my external camera. There it is. I add it, and now you can see me, and we can talk, and you can see my face. We can do a couple of things. We can move it around on the screen, and much as in any editing piece of software, we can, let's make it bigger. So I just grab this top handle. Don't want to get too big yet, so we can zoom in. In fact, we're going to duplicate this scene. And then we're going to, if I can grab the handle, we'll make it smaller. So now by going to the scene buttons, we can go from scene 1 to scene 2 and have an automatic punch in. We can zoom right in if you want to have a nice close-up shot so you can get your face, then punch out and have gestures. All with the same camera. This is just one camera so far. The other thing we can do, well, let's do it on this one. I can hold down, on my Macintosh, it's the Option key. I think on Zoom, it's either Alt or Control, I forget which. We can, if I can grab the red handle, we can zoom it in here. We can crop off some of the top, move it over in the corner. And if we want to add another camera, we look for video capture device. Oh, I don't want a video capture device. Yeah, I do too. I get confused. Add the second camera. Now, before we get too far ahead, let's show what we're really trying to do. So we're going to go over to Zoom. I've got the Zoom window hidden off here to the side so that I can do preferences. And go to video, and notice I have a choice of a FaceTime camera, which is my built-in camera, the external camera, and my OBS virtual camera, which is going right now, but I haven't sent any signal to it now. So we'll come back over to, I'm going to close this because it always gets in the way. OBS. Normally, you would just come over to the control section and start your virtual camera. I have a plugin that does the same thing. And I start my virtual camera. Now let's go back to Zoom, open my preferences, video, and there it is. And now I can use, oh, I don't have F keys on this one. I can switch scenes over here. And now my camera, whatever scene I choose, shows up in Zoom. So the steps really are, you start OBS, you download OBS, then we start it, we start Zoom, we start the virtual camera, and we select the OBS virtual camera in Zoom. And that's all there is to do to use this wonderful little tool. But no, we have even more nice, shiny tools. So let's see what else we can do. See, we've added cameras, and we've expanded, and we've cropped. Let's add a plain picture. So to this scene, I'm going to add, if I can find one here, an image. Let's pick this one, something I already have. Here's my picture. I can put it wherever I want to. I can scale it up if we want to see it bigger. I can crop it. I can make it smaller. And by grabbing this scene source, I can turn the eye off and I can hide it. It's like a lot of software. It's in layers. I can move it up and down. I have to select it, move it down in the layer list, and now it's behind the window. It's a layered system. Let's add some text. Yeah, I can never, there it is, text. I'm going to choose one I already added. OBS virtual camera. Probably want to make it a little bit smaller than that. So we'll just resize it. And there's some properties. I didn't even know it had a gradient. You could do really weird colors if you wanted to. Isn't that lovely? Of course it's not, but you can resize it. Now what we can really do with this though, and I'm gonna, if I look at my checklist, we can go ahead and go back to a different scene collection, something that I have already used from before. Let's see if I can find one that has some cool stuff. We can look at all the elements I have. This one has transparencies. Terry Yackley has taught us how to do transparencies on graphics. I can put that in there, and I should be able to, in the, oh, I have a perfect idea here. Let's add a filter on this. And we will do color correction on this filter. For those times when we have a camera that's too yellow or it's not bright enough or whatever problem you happen to have, we can add a color correction. It doesn't correct for daylight to soft white bulbs, but other than that, it does a fairly good job. And we're going to play with this filter on this logo. One is we can bring the opacity down. Let's see what that looks like. Now it's half transparent. I lost my filter. There's the bug. Properties. Filters, that's what I need. Let's bring the opacity back up. Let's make it a weird color. Let's give it green and pink and give it more saturation so it's just totally cool. A little more contrast there. Now, isn't that lovely? One other thing I want to show you, the way that I do F keys, so we can do our timer really quick. This is a simple thing. I go over into the control section on the lower right side, go into settings, we go to hotkeys, and we have our scene names. My audience cam, right here, I've assigned to F6. Let's look for our timer. My red timer is scene 4. My blue timer is, I said on the red timer it was scene 4, it's F4. On blue, I've assigned it to F1. On green, I've assigned to F2. And yellow, I've assigned to F3. so that I can just push an F key and switch however I want. And on this particular timer, I had the audience and the speaker view. It may be useful this way, and we can certainly hide the audience cam if we want to, or the speaker cam, which may be even better, and resize it. But I better turn my speaker cam back on since I'm speaking to you. Let's go back up to here. One thing that I found by using these different scenes, I can almost do a PowerPoint presentation by using different scenes. I can show different pictures. I could be speaking about construction, and this is a slideshow that's running on the side. Here's one that I made. I'm showing a video and a little picture and some text. But you could really, I believe, use this as PowerPoint. So this software can switch the camera in your club meeting. You can also use it to be the timer, flip the colors up really easy at the press of an F key. It can also replace PowerPoint. It's very flexible and it's really simple to use. I would encourage everyone to try it because when we go hybrid, we might need tools like this to make our club meetings simpler and easier to run. Mr. Toastmaster, is there any questions? If you have a question, I'll answer them.
Well, Dave.
Yes.
I mean, I know this is freeware.
Yes.
As my computer proved earlier this morning, it is fully capable of locking up on me.
Yes.
With yet another piece of software running, have you had computer stability issues?
I've had it. It crashes occasionally, but I haven't really tried it in club meetings. Right now with quarantine and my situation with the government, I haven't been going into our smile meetings. I'm trying to get Teresa to show her how simple this really is, because it really is quite simple. There's not much to running this. And we need to start using it in the heat of an actual club meeting.
Yeah.
But I've been using it a lot for live streaming, and I've never had it crash on a live stream. I've only had it crash in practice. So it's fairly stable, but being that it's open source, they can make one change and then the next one might be completely unstable. So you never know. You always have to test ahead of time. And the computer I'm running this on is a 2013, so it's 7 years old, and it's only a dual core i3. So it's not a fast computer. It's got a fast SSD in it, but that's it.
What about chroma key or background? Are you able to replace your background?
You could. Actually, you can use Zooms. I'm not running into Zoom, but this is just a front end. This is a virtual camera, so you can run it into Zoom and have Zoom run its own chroma key if you want to do it that way. And it does have built-in chroma key also, and I have not used it.
The built-in would be if you were using it with layers and you wanted you to be cut out, like transparency, your background transparent behind you on like a slide.
Yeah, I believe you can. I have not delved into it that far. I used for live streaming, I use it mostly. But I imagine a scenario that I think when I do a podcast the next time, I will probably use, because I'm using 2 computers right now, I'll probably use one instance of OBS to play all my videos. It'd be the media player, run it into my switcher, and then record it on another instance of OBS on the second computer. It is such a good screen recorder too.
In a hybrid meeting, last meeting you talked about your kind of triangular setup.
Mm-hmm.
How do you anticipate switching between audience view and speaker view on the screen? Well,
The easy
in other words,
answer is
this is a usage question,
yes.
not a technical question.
Have someone either sit in front of the computer or get a string deck, some kind of remote control. Ideally, it would be great to have somebody sit in front of the computer, because as the Zoom master, they need to mute our members that still haven't figured out how to mute their microphones. Because that still happens, but we're so much better. But in the case where the Zoom computer is also running OBS and is also a monitor, and Steve will probably get into this, for the speaker, then it gets a little trickier because the computer would be in front of the speaker, and I don't know, practice, I guess, is how we will learn how to do it.
So when the speaker is remote, you throw the speaker on the screen, but when the speaker is local, you'd throw the audience on the screen. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think so. Or you may want to split screen and have both. Because, you know, we can punch in pretty tight. We don't need the full wide screen generally. So putting both on the screen, well, I don't know. It depends on how big your audience is.
Well, when your speaker's remote, they may or may not want to see themselves.
I do, so I can see that I'm in frame.
Yeah, I do too, but that's usually
You're
a
right.
personal choice. And it's hard to tell whether you're in frame if you were splitting it, especially if you're splitting it vertically.
Yeah, and if you're splitting it and cropping it, then it'd be tough to know unless you had a monitor of the actual cropped out screen. Any other questions? I just encourage you to give it a try. It is pretty simple to use and pretty cool and free.
Yeah, I've played with it way little, but it was surprisingly intuitive.
Yes, for open source software, it's really pretty good. It's really good. And the more I learn that I can add to it. I mean, this is set up for street gamers, really.
Yeah.
You can have on one part of the screen, I can't point in the right spot. I don't know how to do this backwards. You could have our live chat, a live chat coming up onto the screen if we wanted to. We'd have to figure out how to do that, but it's completely possible. And you can have your followers post comments. I don't think that's useful for Toastmasters, but if we think creatively, we might find a good use.